No one should be a victim of violence that leads down to the drugs, to the low self-worth, the self-harm, everything that comes with it. We've got to change, and people need to step up. We do need to step up.
And we all know people. We all know people and close family members that are on that gig. And we have lack of knowledge, so we turn our head.
My mum did teach me something, and I will give her that, and I did give her that, not to follow her footsteps, not this time, and not to let a man stand over you like she let her husband.
I've seen a lot of violence growing up amongst our families, Some of that in the early years probably rubbed off onto me as well, until I stood back and said to myself, hey, this is not what my people taught me, this is not what my mother taught me, this is not what my father taught me,
We've all got our stories, and some of us have got to get over, it's all shame, or nobody wants to listen. We need to listen. We need our community to come together and get those magical words back, like respect and truth and honesty and all the good stuff that we know. We know it's there. We know it's in our community. We see it in our own kids. We see it in our cousins, in our brothers and our sisters. But we've got to put it out here, and we've got to get people to feel okay and strong about it.
What I pass down to my children is also that it's not, when you go into a relationship, it's not a one person over another. So it's about being equal and sharing and talking.
Like if you can sit down and have a good yarn. The best thing for us, mob, is a river, a fire and a good yarn.
Sometimes for hours talk, because that gets rid of that anger and that pain.
You don't have to be hit, to be beaten, and the man doesn't always control you, right? My kids have, it's reversed too, don't get me wrong. The women don't control the men neither. It's a given both ways thing. If you want a relationship to last, you've got to respect each other.
We take care of our women, we don't abuse our women. We take care of our kids, we work, we do all these things, but we share our culture and we encourage our elders to share what knowledge they have.
My mother always taught us, treat people how you want to be treated, and that's been a message of my life. To sit there and be treated the way I want to be treated, and if I don't get treated the way I want to be treated, then work out how I deal with that myself.
And you have to learn to adjust. No matter where you go, you always got to learn to adjust. So, you learn to all that sort of stuff, and it's not being weak or anything. If you've got to adjust to a situation around you, you adjust,
Always had things that happen to you that may not be good, but you learn to cope, and so that's part of our resilience.
If you share and respect each other, it'll go a long way. It really will.
Yeah. It's got to be a partnership. They've got to be equal. They must respect each other and talk.
My mother told me years ago when I was a kid, I didn't sort of realise so much until I got a bit older, but if you want something, you always work for it.
And I say to every man there, how dare you? How dare you not respect the women around you? You're even treated better yourself when you show that respect. We're not gangsters, we're warriors. And warriors take care of their people. And that's how I look at it now, that I'm a strong Aboriginal man and I'll stand up for our women, and I don't care whose mob I'm talking to. If I see something that I don't agree with, I'm there. If I see stuff that's not going on, that's not right, men not respecting their women, well, I'm in the middle of it and I'm talking about it.
Young men have told me a lot of things that should never have happened, you know, it should never happen. But it's just, when they come and ask me, I just say, we've got to sit down and we've got to talk, we've got to find you some help somewhere where you can be safe, you know, and you have to get away from where the people that you're with now, that you're running with, you've got to change your lifestyle. There's got to be a change of lifestyle, got to be a change of friends, you know, and it's going to be a battle. I hurt this little old lady, not as in physical, but mentally. So this little old lady was a wonderful old lady, and she turned around and said, she says, "You're still a good person." She said, "I know you're a good person." She says, and I forgive you. And that was the day that sort of, I said, hey, that could have been my mother, that could have been my grandmother, you know, that could have been my auntie. So what am I doing here? What the heck am I doing? Hurting people and doing these wrong things. So that started me off with saying, hey, you've got to go down a better track here somewhere, otherwise it's going to get you nowhere. And my mother always said that if you wanted something, you had to work for it, all that, you know. But it just took a bit of time to sink in.
You need to be able to reflect on yourself and put in place things of how you're going to do it and be brave.
Yeah. And if you're in a relationship where someone hits you and that, you can do better. I don't care what anyone says. You deserve better and you can do better.
As women, you shouldn't be hit or manipulated or whatever. You're your own person. You've got to learn to respect each other and learn to also support each other to grow. You've got to understand your own, you've got to be responsible for your own actions too.
And we need strong men talking about it. And we need everybody to be listening to what these stories are about. So they go home in the privacy of their own home and go, I've been an arsehole and I don't want people to think that of me anymore. Maybe I need to get help. Maybe I only carry on when I drink. Well, I'm not going to blame that. I'm not going to accept that you only carry on when you drink, or you're only going to carry on when you're on drugs. Sorry, I'm not going to accept it.
We're not all saints or anything like that, but you've got to work on stop and think and work on things. And at times I'd never done that myself. Talk about myself, you know. There's times when I needed to stop and listen and learn, and I've done that eventually, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer.
It's about you. It's the power you have. The power to be able to be brave. It's not easy to either be the person who's handing out the violence, no matter what sort of violence it is, or receiving that. How do you change and can reflect on yourself? Or if that's never going to happen, then how do you get out of that violence? You need to be brave. I really do think so. You need to say you're worthy and not have that mindset of being worthless and being afraid.
You stopped and you listened, you stopped and you thought about it, you know, and it makes you want to go down the right track. When you look back and see the things that you have done and not learn from it is pretty hard. If you don't learn from your mistakes, well, life is going to be pretty hard for you.
If that's what you're living in, you deserve better and you can get better. You know, get someone who actually cares about you and your family.
Finding the person that will be someone you can lean on and not bring you down, and understand that can help you stand beside you and walk with you for a while till you're strong enough to do things yourself.
If you're working together, it sort of really, in the end, it's good. Yeah, you can see, you can look back and say, oh, you know, I have done some good here somewhere, you know.
Yeah, there's help out there. You just got to want it. That's the problem. You got to want it.
These young fellas would come through at about 2 or 3 o'clock when they think everyone's sleeping, and sit down and have a yarn. We start talking, you know. And they ask me questions, and you know, they ask me what I should be doing. I said, well, I can't tell you what to do, but I can give you some advice on what to do. Maybe that's the right way to go. Mightn't be, you know, like in the situation in. So we've got to look at all that sort of stuff.
We need to have more education on how to empower the young people, especially the young ladies who are in these domestic violence situations, because they get brainwashed about no one else would ever have you. You know, you're just a piece of garbage, and you're worthless, and you're not even a good mother, and you're not even. So they get in their heads and they play these horrible games, and they really believe that they're not worth anything and they can't escape. But it's just the opposite. They're stronger than they really understand and believe. So we need to empower, I suppose, get these people in this situation and empower them that they can leave. But we also need better programs for the perpetrators, because they believe that, oh, as I said earlier, I only do this when I drink, or I only do this when I'm on drugs, or I only do this when she deserves it. All these excuses are just, they're weak. They need to put their hand up and say, I need help.
I'd like to say to them to wake up, but I know that's hard.
Yeah, I'd like to say, just do it.
And listen, because we actually do know what we're saying, and we're only trying to help.
Hey, you know, start listening to what you were taught. Start listening to what what people are trying to tell you. How about listening? You know, because we say that to our own children. How come you don't? You know, you listen. But when you look back, probably, well, I don't know about you guys, but I know that I didn't. You know, but then after a while, you started thinking. You're thinking, hey, gee, maybe Mum was right. You know, or Uncle was right. Old Auntie was right. You know.
So I thank community, and I thank the elders, and I thank all those people who care, sitting around having a yarn like this and acknowledging the wisdom that we still have in our community, and to step over all that politics. And we all know what goes on in our communities. Doesn't matter which community you're talking about, but we need to be bigger than that and better than that. And this is the sort of stuff that's going to help. You know, the wisdom and the knowledge is still there, and community still want it. And I hope that other people see this, and we talk to other community members, and we say, look, we need to be doing this sort of stuff. And it's an honour. It's an honour to get that conversation happening, because we've all got our stories, and some of us have got to get over, oh, it's all shame, you know, or nobody wants to listen. We need to listen. We need our community to come together and get those magical words back, like respect and truth and honesty and all the good stuff that we know is there.